This time we're going to do the skull. Now, in this you have a skull piece, the top, and you have a bottom jaw. You can apply this to a person and use their hairline, or you can put a hood over it. We're going to add a skull cap to it and do an entire skull out of it. The skull cap does not come in the kit, however, for around $5 you can purchase a skull cap at any area costume shop and achieve this result. Let's go ahead and I'll show you how to put on the skull cap for starters. I've already got it pulled up around. Now, most skull caps you have to cut out the ears and get it all prepared. With the skull, this ghoulie makeup, I want to cover up the ears so it can go on just as is. So I'll pull it down like it is and then put a little latex up under it. Now you don't want to just shove your brush under, you want to make sure you're not getting it into his hair. But then you can stick it down into the latex that you put on his face. Catch the edge of the latex here and then let it dry a little bit, and then we'll pull it back down. We'll just go right around his ear here, and then we'll pull the skull cap right on down. Hold it here. A little more latex. And then I can go right along the edge to hold it down there. This will all get covered up with the ghoulie itself. And you can see I've got a gap here, but as soon as that dries a little bit, I'll push it back down. Place down and go around the edge, and I'll hold it. And when this dries, I'll push it down. That's really all we need to do to prepare for the skull cap. Now we take the appliance and we'll place it over. And normally we'd have to fit it to his hairline, and if you were doing this to fit on his hairline, you'd need to trim it along here and fit it right up under his hairline. Now with the skull cap, the thing that makes it nice is now I've covered up his hair, and we can then use the latex without worrying. Except for around the eyes, we don't have to worry about where we're putting it. And this lines up real well on his head, and you can see how it starts to form. Now the only lines I need to fill in would be right along the edge of the goolie right here. And this is just marking it in order to put the latex in. I could go ahead and mark where it's going to hit up on top. And then on this side, on here, and then where it comes into the mouth. That's pretty much all I need to do on that. Now while I'm at it, I should remind you that you'll want to cut out the nostril holes, and you simply turn it backwards. That they are in the goolie itself. Just from the back, clip out the nostril so that he can breathe. And then if there's any excess on the eyes, which there isn't at this particular time, that would be trimmed out. Now I'll go ahead and put latex inside that line. And like I said, in this particular goolie, you don't have to worry about getting in his hair, except around the eyes. Make sure I get it under the lip, that's where it adheres, and then around the eyes. I'll go up underneath the eye itself and underneath the brow, just below the hairline. I'll repeat that on the other side. This is real nice because this goolie can be used for the Grim Reaper and use a hood on it, or right now Phantom of the Opera is popular, and in one of the scenes the Phantom comes down in a skull type of makeup or mask, and this particular skull looks very much like the one out of Phantom of the Opera. And once you have it clearly on his face, you might do a couple of coats. There's a large area on the top that I can go ahead and just put on. Then I'll go ahead and put it on the goolie itself. Now because the top of the skull rides right along the face line, or along the head, I can put a thicker band of latex all through, and I'll get a real good grip on the skull cap. And as a matter of fact, once this makeup is completed, once you've done your party or whatever it happens to be that you're going to, you can cut this off by cutting the skull cap up the ear, and it'll come off as a complete mask. Or you can peel it off in a normal fashion, which would be taking each piece off individually. Now, what I need to do is let this dry for about 3 minutes. While that's happening, I'll go ahead and do his bottom jaw and prepare it. Just want to line it up, see where I'm going. Now, the top up here will match up to the top portion of the gullet. So the only part I need to mark is down on the bottom. Now I can go ahead and fill that in. Now this neck piece fits pretty tight on the neck, so I can just fill in. It's like coloring in the lines. And up on the lip, across, and the two will match here in the top piece, so I can just put it right alongside where I've already got latex. By the time I finish putting on the bottom, the latex on the bottom, the top will be ready to adhere. And while I'm putting on the top, the bottom will dry. Makes this one a little easier than most. And now we're ready to put on the top. We're set. Make sure that I pull the nose, pinch in around the eyes, pull it down over the lip, and connect it by stretching it out. Push it up around the eyes, up on the head, and then stretching it just a little bit to the side and laying it down like that. Now I can touch all the way around the eyes, and this will start to adhere. Now, while the bottom's drying and while this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and put latex around the edge. This will help feather the edge and help keep it in place right around here. Up under the teeth here. I want to get it up on the lip. Open up. Right up the lip on either side. And then the other side. still drying here in the face, so while that's drying we'll go ahead and get some latex on the bottom chin. Across the teeth. This is the part that will connect to the lip. Now we want to let this dry about 3 minutes, and the part on the face will then be ready to accept this. So we'll wait about 3 minutes. Okay, we've waited about 3 minutes and now we're ready to adhere the bottom jaw. Go ahead and put this up on there. What we want to do is take it and start with the center part of the lip. Pull it on and then pull it towards the top and lay it in this side section here so that it connects the jaw pieces. And then up into this section up here. Then you'll need to stretch it down a little bit and place it into the latex. Go back around and make sure it's sticking. And then so that we know that it's going to adhere, and there are some places that want to pull up, we'll go back around with latex and fill in between, right down in here. Now this will drop into the crack and then dry onto the latex that's already on the face. Right on around, up underneath, all the edges, tapers it out just a little bit. Also want to get it on the lip itself, so lay it right on the top of the lip. Now we'll let that dry about 3 minutes and we'll be ready to apply the base coat of makeup. Now we've waited about 3 minutes for the latex to dry and we're ready to go ahead and put on the white base. Primarily the skull is made up of a white base and then black that shadows the features. Now I'll take a sponge, some white, and I just go around and stipple it on. Stippling is a technique of dabbing as opposed to drawing this way, which I can initially get the color on, but I want to stipple it. That gives a matte finish. It brings up the makeup. And I have to go all the way around all the way in the back. All the way down on the neck. Now towards the bottom, it's going to be black, so I only want to go back to a little above where the hairline is on our person here. And then all over the ghoulie itself. Now in the eye area, that will be black, so we won't even put the white in there. Let's go ahead and turn. Of course the teeth will be white, so you can stipple all across the teeth, all across the bone structure, everything but the crevices, which we'll get with a brush separately. Now up underneath, past the ghoulie, will be black, so we'll just get the ghoulie white initially, and then we'll do the black separately. That basically takes care of the base coat, the white. Now we'll take a small brush and black, and we'll start putting in the shadowing. Now that'll happen right in here. You just brush it through into all the little creases. Just a little bit, a little touch, and we'll come back and blend that in a moment. What I'm doing with the black on the brush, without going back and getting more, is I'm blending it in just a little bit with the white so that I get a gray or a shadow down in these areas. Underneath the high point, this high point here, I shadow a little bit down in here by blending that black and white together. along in this little dip right through here. I'll blend, and I start getting a deepening effect. Right here there's a little bit of that, little crevice here, another little one here. Now at this point I'm about at the edge of my goulie, which is running along here. If I run those shaded spots a little further past, I can break up this line going down this way, so I can make it look like it goes further than it does. Shadowing out to the side. Down in here, I now have created this high point going across here by shading in here and here. Now, as I get towards the end of this side, shading just a little bit, working the black out of the white, the black and white together in a sense, which is giving me my shading here. Then I'll get to the point where it all becomes black. The areas that become black are in the eyes. This is like a void. And I'll just paint this right over the top of the seam there. Nice hard line of black. Now as my brush gets the black makeup off of it, then I'll work a little of the black off my brush, and then I'll work some of it up here in shading by getting some of the white that's already on the face and blending it underneath so that it turns gray. Just work that in right up there and down. A little gray down in here, working with what's there. And then I'll come back and put a little more white right along here so that that blends together. Okay. That's what darkens my line there. And now the nose area is also black. His other eye. Now I can go ahead and complete the shading effect. this side. Okay, now it's time to outline in black down here where the end of the face is. Now his face ends right at this jawline, so I'll put it about 1/4 inch on the appliance and then work out onto his skin right on the jawline, and then it will come along the back in this fashion. Now, everything below this line will be black and it'll appear to go away. Now, the vast majority of this I'll fill in with a sponge. It'll just make it a little easier to get all that. Now I outline the edge of the appliance and work my way down to the bones in his neck. These will make them stand out. Again, this helps hide the edge of the appliance. Okay, now I want to do some more shading. I want to carry on some of these little lines. I'll carry them on back. Now there should be a crack in his skull somewhere up about here. So I'll draw this in and then I'll go along I want to go along the skull cap in this direction. Again, this will break up. Here's the line of the appliance coming down here. What I want to do is catch your eye with this black line. Connect this together. Now I have what appears to be a cracking. And then I might go this direction to get another crack going. Now I can carry that down this way. If I wanted, I could highlight this, but I really want to stay away from the line of the appliance as much as I can. But I can crack it down into here and carry it on into the back. Little lines that will appear to have a cracked head look. Now this, I'll turn this way. This line I'm just going to let end, and I'll start another one here. Now, with white, I'm going to do a little blending. I've got the black on there pretty well, but I don't want it to be too much, so we'll blend a little bit with my sponge. Just blend that out just a little bit. This just a little bit. That way I can taper it into white. I'm using white, I'm going onto the black, and then tapering. You can also stipple over the cracks and diminish them somewhat. And then also the white, if I stipple down here, any spot that I happen to have gone out of the lines will clean it up a little bit. I've got a dark line here. Let's stipple it and you'll see how it makes it a little more subdued. In the mouth area you can see his lip a little bit, so go back to the black. And in order to make his teeth stand out, I'm going to darken up behind him so that it looks like it goes into a void. You can start to see that happening now. much of a hole. Might crack it a little by going off. Just a little bit of gray to mix with what's on the face. And then on the other side, where his ear is, he's got an ear protruding right there, so a little bit of a hole there. Work a couple of lines off, shading it, and creating a depression with the gray. Okay, now I want to take my black, a sponge, and do the rest of the neck area. This is what's going to make it look like the neck goes away. And work it all the way around the neck. And then down under the collar, wherever that's going to be. I'm going to do just a little bit with some gray in this area. And I'm going to try to highlight with white the teeth so that they stand out just a little bit more. And as a little color, take a color wheel and get a dab of green and maybe dab some of the green just here and there, as if he's rotting or there's a little bit of mold on there, and just a little bit of color. You can just dab that around different spots on the skull. Come up out of the crevices, the bigger crevices in this area. It's a nice shade effect, but it gives you a little bit of color.